Key points: Macbeth. At the beginning of the play, Macbeth is Thane of Glamis. He's an extremely skilled soldier, and his efforts are one of the key reasons why the Scottish beat the Norwegian invaders. On returning from the battle, Macbeth encounters 3 witches, who greet him with his name and current title. They go on to say he will become Thane of Cawdor and then king. It's as if the witches' words plant an evil seed in the hitherto noble Macbeth. You could argue this signifies he's psychologically weak. A stronger mind would have dismissed what the witches said, whereas Macbeth seems glamoured by them. For his bravery in battle, King Duncan rewards Macbeth with an additional title, that of Thane of Cawdor. The previous Thane of Cawdor has been stripped of his rank because he betrayed the Scottish to the Norwegians, so this title's already tainted with betrayal before Macbeth receives it. Macbeth is stunned when he's made Thane of Cawdor because the witch's words seem to be coming true. Macbeth feels disturbed by a growing hunger for the crown, but hopes he will be made king without him having to do anything about it. At this stage in the play, Macbeth is struggling to maintain his former honour, but is also tempted by his desire for more power. When King Duncan proclaims that his eldest son, Malcolm, will be king after him, Macbeth feels resentful that the crown is not going to come to him easily. He perceives he will have to live with this decision or take action against the royal family, and yet he knows these are terrible thoughts to have. Macbeth's in 2 minds about whether to kill Duncan, as he fears the consequences in both this life and the next. This shows that Macbeth is suffering inner turmoil. On the one hand, he is essentially an heroic man, but he's been poisoned with a burning ambition to take the crown. When Macbeth decides not to go ahead with the plan, his wife persuades him to change his mind again. This supports the idea that Macbeth does not have a strong mind. It only takes a few words to convince him to go ahead with the murder. Before he kills Duncan, Macbeth has a vision of a bloody dagger. After the murder, Macbeth is distressed because he can't say amen and thinks he's damned his soul. When Duncan's body is discovered, Macbeth kills Duncan's guard, saying he's too full of rage to know what he was doing. This act is rash and shows that Macbeth is not able to make subtle or strategic calculations. When in doubt, he reaches for his sword. King Duncan's sons flee for their lives, and Macbeth is crowned king. Macbeth plots to have Banquo and his son Fleance killed so that the witch's prophecies about them can't come true. By now, Macbeth's inner ambition seems to have triumphed over his better nature. He seems to show no qualms about ordering the murder of his former friend. He doesn't even talk this over with Lady Macbeth and seems much more decisive at this point. Macbeth is panicked when he hears that Fleance escapes the murderers, as this means that the witch's predictions could still come true. Having seemed so decisive when he sent the murderers after Banquo, Macbeth then loses his nerve again and thinks he can see Banquo's ghost sitting in his place at the banquet. He's so unsettled by this that he decides to take action and revisits the witches. By this point, Macbeth has nobody else to turn to. He's alienated all his former allies by being such a terrible king. The witches show Macbeth 3 cryptic apparitions. As a result of the apparitions, Macbeth begins to fear Macduff and sends assassins to kill him and all his family. Macduff is away in England, but his wife and son are slain. When Macbeth hears that his wife has died, he seems to fall into despair and acts in an increasingly fatalistic way. Macbeth feels physically invincible due to what he saw in the witches' apparitions. As before, Macbeth has no subtle strategies, and when he finds himself surrounded, his response is a soldier's response, to stand and fight unto the death. Macbeth faces Macduff in the final fight and is slain.